Welcome back to the studio. I apologize. I'm about to smile a lot and get pretty darn excited. I wasn't expecting this one. If you watched or hadn't seen the powered version of these speaker video, these PSB speakers, you haven't seen that video, go check it out. But these are what we would call passive speakers or non-powered speakers. I've got a speaker wire connected to the back here. I've got an amplifier attached to this. So this would be your traditional setup you could use with your old Yamaha, you can use with your new 2-channel network receiver. You can get a system from us, do something crazy like a C368 here from NAD, or even a M33, one of the big boys, the big Class D amplifiers. The beauty of these speakers, these PSB Paul and Sue Barton speakers, is that they are dirt cheap. It's $250 for these as of right now. My guess is they'll probably go up a little bit in price as material costs continue to rise. And $450 as of right now in 2021 for the P5. So P3s, P5s. It's remarkable, the sound. And I don't want to oversell you on this. Because I don't want you to be disappointed. They're not going to change the world. They might change your life a little bit, though, and might change your perspective on what quality audio is and can be, even at low price points. So if you rewind several years ago, I decided to buy a bunch of pressure washers, like 80 of them, and then figure out how to make those pressure washers fit, figure out how to make them, how to connect them, how to get all the parts and pieces for them. And so after those years and years of trying out and trying to get pressure washers connected properly, and me buying those to test to figure out what fittings we need, I figured out that, well, some of them aren't too bad. Since we came up with the Karcher K1700. Since then, we found the active VE52, which gets you Krenzel performance for a fraction of the cost. And so the same thing has accidentally happened here with speakers. My full intention was to carry Dynaudio. I love the smoothness. I think Dynaudio is fantastic for the garage. I was probably going to just avoid the lower end options because I didn't think many things would be acceptable, and we would just sell like the Dynaudio Music, little Bluetooth speakers, little AirPlay speakers. And then I was in search of a solution to power my Dynaudios. And I talked with Audio Control, and then I talked with NAD. And the reason why I talked to NAD was they also, so Blue Sound, NAD, and PSB, they're all imported, or they're all represented by the same company in Canada. The PSBs are Canadian speakers. So the NAD stuff is imported, and Blue Sound stuff is imported, and either produced or at least represented in Canada. And so the NAD stuff I was really interested in for the garage because they're Class D amplifiers, so they'll run really cool. And I've heard them in the past. The sound signature is pretty fantastic. And so in my process of ordering, I said, you know what? The PSB speakers are cheap enough. I get a really big discount when you buy a demo pair. Give me one of everything that PSB makes. And then when it all showed up, I was really regretting my decision. I said, just like I regretted the decision to do the pressure washing project. And I was thinking, man, I made a mistake. I got all this junk. What am I going to do with this stuff? And so I set up my NAD preamp. I got not this one, but the one below this one first. I set it up there, and I was listening to some of my Dynaudio speakers as I was playing with these. I'm like, let me just unbox these PSBs that I got. I've got to unbox them at some point. And I had a pair of Dynaudio Evokes, Dynaudio Evoke 10s, which are $1,500 a pair. And I'm listening to them. I'm loving every second in the garage. I also, next to it, had a pair of Dynaudio Core studio monitors. And I grabbed these little guys, this little hunk of beauty, this little piece of crap. I unboxed it, and I was thinking, what did I get? Just wasted all this money on these speakers, even though I bought them for virtually nothing. The manufacturers want you as a dealer to buy speakers to try out or to put on your demo floor, and so they give you heavy discounts for a single pair, so that way you'll buy it and try it and own it, and you'll know it better, and then hopefully you'll sell it. And so even though I paid very little for these, I was thinking I paid too much. I'm telling you. I want to prepare you for this. You're going to get it in the box. Like, throw them in that box right there. I'm going to show people what the box looks like. So the box, it looks like every other speaker box. It comes in this guy here. And I unboxed it, and I'm telling you, I got reasonable grip strength, but I'm not that strong. It's not very inspiring when you get the thing. The grill is okay, but kind of, there's no edge to the grill. It just kind of magnetically sticks in. It doesn't stick like a Dynaudio grill will circle, center up right to the middle. This one, you can put it on wonky, so you kind of have to tuck it in place. So I want to prepare you for when you get this. You're gonna be like, Matt, you haven't led me astray yet, but I think maybe you made a mistake. I'm telling you, wait till you hook it up. Put the little feet on the bottom. These are vinyl wrapped. You can even see the seam on the bottom, a little PSB sticker, which at least makes it look like it's not completely, homemade. You have your binding posts on the back here. We have a setup video showing you how to connect them and how they work. It's really quite simple. You have your little plastic base reflex port in the back here and a little thread for doing wall mount. And then I set them on the table next to my $1,500 Evoke 10s, thinking, oh boy, this is going to be fun. Now, don't get me wrong, the Evoke 10s are much better. But I was absolutely astonished. I just couldn't believe it. The other thing that I wasn't a believer of is I'm a huge fan of Silk Dome, especially for the garage. The PSB speakers have both the P5s and P3s have a inverted design. I'm not sure why they do this. Someday we'll get that information, hopefully from Paul Barton himself. Maybe I'll convince him to be on a podcast after we sell thousands of pairs of these, because I'm telling you want to buy these. The tweeter is a 3/4 inch aluminum dome. I've always hated aluminum in every speaker I've ever owned. Boston Acoustics, the aluminum, clip tweeter that they have, the horn-loaded tweeters, generally aluminum. I just never liked them, with the exception of possibly, monitor audio, but they would do some tricks to get rid of a lot of the resonant frequency, a lot of the brightness of aluminum. And so these have a 3/4 inch aluminum tweeter, and then a typical poly, it kind of looks like carbon fiber, but it's just a poly typical mid-bass driver. You have a 4-inch on the P3 and a 3/4 inch tweeter, and you have a 5 1/4 inch on the P5. That's as big as the bookshelves get. They do make some floor standing speakers we could get if you wanted, but I'm going to stock the bookshelves because we're doing this primarily for the garage. And so I set it on the counter, and I hooked it up to the baby brother of this, which was rated at 50 watts per channel. I'm sure that's underrated. And I turned it on expecting it to be bright and tinny and annoying, and I was just in awe, just completely awestruck of how this thing, the judgment I had when I pulled it out of the box, and the fact that I'm like, this is just not a quality piece of equipment. So it's very, very clear to me that all of the money, all $440 or all $250, every penny that you spend on these are Chinese manufactured, built and designed. They're designed in Canada, but Chinese manufactured at wherever PSB has their factory, and they've created something remarkable. And I think what it is, I think Paul Barton is up there in that echelon of the greatest acoustic and sound engineers, or speaker manufacturers, I should say, speaker makers in the world. But he chose the unique route of going with economical. Let's keep costs down. Let's make something great that sounds great for not a lot of money. And actually, they just came out with a T600 that's $8,000 a pair. That looks a lot like this, just on a really big speaker. So they're taking all of that tech, all of that knowledge, all of that ability, and they're just attempting to keep the cost down. But I don't think these are built to a price point. I think they're built to what they need to be, and then the price comes in where it comes in. And I think that, you know, one of the drawbacks to like a lot of the like inexpensive pressure washers and stuff like that is they have a short lifespan and they have, you know, issues with that kind of stuff. These are going to last for the rest of your life. I think they're 5-year warranty, but as long as you don't blow it up doing something stupid, you know, over, you know, I don't think you could really overpower these. I bet you could probably put a big old monoblock amp on each one of these and they would open up even more. But the sound you're going to get from this, so here's the characteristic you're looking at. And I know speakers are very subjective, and I'm going out on a limb here, and I'm asking you to say, you know, somebody's got to tell you what to do. You can't go listen to these anymore. There's very few places that stock this kind of stuff. I've heard thousands of speakers in my life, and so I'm asking you to, you know, to leverage my experience. You're also going to buy these based on my ear, which I tend to prefer smooth. But I think it makes sense. The garage is not a smooth, it's a very tinny, very bright, not a great environment. There's a lot of echo, there's a lot of issues in a garage with metal and concrete and your metal car with glass everywhere. Not a great acoustic environment. And the beauty of these, I think it comes from the wave guide, the guide they put on front of the tweeter, as well as the speed of a neodymium magnet combined with the ferrofluid that they put, I guess it's in part of the surround of or the backing. Actually, I think the ferrofluid is what coats the back and front of the aluminum tweeter, if I remember correctly from back in my old audio days. We'll clarify that in the future because I'm going to be ramming these down your throat over the next few years because they're that freaking good, especially for the garage. And so it's that combination of those things that makes the aluminum tweeter not harsh, almost rival the smoothness of the signature, you know, Dynaudio smoothness of their fantastic silk dome tweeters. And whatever this inverted thing does to gain whatever it does, I'm not really sure. It's just magical. You know, I'm not really sure how the pump exactly works inside of a Karcher you know, K1700, but I have an idea. Same thing with these, I have an idea. I think the key thing here is it really doesn't freaking matter. It doesn't matter. They're just fantastic. And so I would pair this, and we'll have separate videos for components, and we're going to come out with separate videos for packages. We decided to make the speaker specific videos first, and then we'll get into the packages here shorter, in short order. Reason is when I build a package, I've got to pull from the individual products. So we've got to get the products built anyway. I'm getting impatient. I can't wait. I want these to be out in the market, or I guess they already are in the market, but I want them to be in my market, if you will. You and me, we need to get together and you need to buy some of this stuff because it's freaking awesome. And so you're going to do something, I think, a really great combination. Not the best sounding combination. It's a great sounding combination. You wouldn't know the difference otherwise, but this is a 50 watt per channel digital amplifier, Class D amp. This is a Blue Sound power node where all I have is a couple of speaker wires. Go check out the setup video. I could then, in the perfect world, I'd buy the speakers, maybe use my old receiver, make sure I got the speaker wires I need. Then I would buy a Blue Sound node. Then I would buy a wireless subwoofer, connection, and I would use maybe an old subwoofer, and then I'd get myself a subwoofer of some sort. And so we're going to have systems and packages for all of that. I do not like the subwoofers from this line, so I need to find something that's on the lower level or more entry level. Rumor has it, my buddies at Dynaudio are coming out with something that may pair with this really well. I've also worked with SVS to possibly bring them in. I was planning on doing SVS bookshelves, but these are in a completely different class acoustically, smoothness and their appropriateness for the garage. Or if you really want to open it up, and we heard this in 10 seconds of switching back and forth, do a C368. This sucker's $1,500. This is $900. We're also going to have some more entry-level options as well from Onkyo. Onkyo is kind of leading the way in the Japanese receiver realm for network type 2-channel receivers. We can get you center channels and rear speakers and in-ceiling speakers from PSB as well. But I think in a garage, Blue Sound node, or a NAD C368 or C388 or M10 or M33, some big boy, is the perfect combination. They also, NAD is going to make a new, version of the M10, which is about $1,500 that you could pair with these speakers that would sound incredible. So in this case, you could sort of punch down on your expense on the speakers and then invest your money in the componentry. Or, worst case scenario, you have something old, some old stereo or audio surround receiver. They work really well with these. They're relatively efficient speakers. So P5, P3. So these come in the vinyl veneer. It doesn't feel like vinyl, it feels like a wood grain. So it's a really fantastic vinyl. I mean, even though these feel inexpensive, they're gonna look fine when you're only gonna touch them once and they're gonna sit on your shelf. But it comes in black ash or walnut finish. They do make a powered version of these if you wanted to skip your amplifier in the AM3 and AM5 that are a little bit more. Like for instance, the AM5 is $150 more and has its own built-in Class D amplifier. If you really want to, if your sound is important to you, but you're on a budget, I think the way to go would be to go with the passive speakers like we have here versus the powered version. The powered version doesn't have as much headroom, won't play quite as loud. Both are great options. The powered solution is wireless and simple. You connect via Bluetooth. This becomes a little more sophisticated because you're gonna have speaker wires, you're gonna have connected setups using some sort of source. But I'm telling you, I haven't steered you wrong yet. If I have, you probably messed something up. I'm just kidding. This is a great path to start with garage audio, and I'm really pleasantly surprised. I had no intention of doing something like this and offering something like this, at least not yet. And I'm so more excited about these than I am my beloved Dynaudios. Now, money no object, we're going to set you up with a Dynaudio system, maybe some cores or some LYDs or even evokes or emits in the garage. They are all better. The argument is, especially if you value music in the garage, but you're starting out, you haven't budgeted that much for audio, or whatever extenuating circumstances where you would avoid spending $2,000 to $3,000 on a system, we can set you up here in a much more practical price point. If we get an inexpensive receiver under $1,000, and you've got yourself a system that rips, and you can always add a subwoofer to it in the future and make it sound even better. So make sure you check out the other videos on the website, on the channel. PSB is pretty freaking awesome. So I'm excited to offer this, and we're gonna have lots more information on this in the future. Make sure to go check out the setup video. If you have any questions or want some help, if you're watching this before we've built our packages, hit up my guys, support@obsessedgarage.com. Hit them up and we'll be able to help you there as well if you have some questions on which ones should you pick specifically. My money's on the P5s over the P3s, but if these are for $250, eventually you add a subwoofer to these, they'll rip pretty well. It's the same tweeter, just smaller woofer. So add a subwoofer to it and you got a nice combination. Thanks for watching, thanks for your support. Go to obsessedgarage.com, available. If they're not available, we'll take your spot in line, lock it down. We'll get them to you as soon as they're available. And yeah, thanks for your support. These speakers are gonna change the garage world, if you will. I'm telling you, they're that good.